The image that you now see on your screen was one taken by the unmanned space probe Voyager 1 on February 14, 1990 at approximately 4:48 Greenwich Mean Time, only minutes before the probe's cameras were permanently powered off. The bluish-white dot that you see close to the middle of the photograph is a staggering perspective of planet Earth from roughly 3.6 billion miles away. Voyager 1, which was launched in 1977, took nearly 13 years to reach this distance. The immense wonder of the photograph is heightened as we see the Earth suspended neatly in a magnificent ray of sunlight. This image inspired astronomer and astrophysicist Carl Sagan to write the following, and I quote, "Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of. Every human being who ever was lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam." The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe, are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit, yes. Settle, not yet. Like it or not, for the moment the Earth is where we make our stand. It has been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. As for many, this image gave Sagan a humbling perspective from which to view his existence. In this quote, we detect the seemingly conflicting emotions of borderline nihilism butting up against a rather purpose-filled view of humanity. Upon reading this quote and viewing the extraordinary image of the pale blue dot, I as a Christian could not help but ponder once again the great juxtapositions that are present within Christianity and the purposes behind them. On one hand, we look at the image of the pale blue dot and we can only start to scratch the surface of an understanding of the magnitude and greatness of our Almighty God. Seeing the Earth from this perspective surely makes us humans realize just how small and insignificant we are when compared to the God who spoke the universe into existence. On the other hand, seeing this tiny dot, said to be less than a pixel wide in the original image, I cannot help but be awestruck by the fact that God has intimately woven himself into the existence of the seemingly insignificant beings that dwell on this tiny, tiny dot. The fact that God is concerned about humanity and their destiny is almost certainly more amazing than realizing the scale of our Earth compared to the universe. There is a great juxtaposition in the Christian worldview. Though the Earth seems insignificant in the enveloping cosmic dark, God takes interest in Earth's inhabitants, even going so far as to establish meaningful, intimate relationships with them. God, in his infinite significance, desires relationship with the finite and the insignificant. God has chosen to play out the story of sin, salvation, failure, redemption, love, sacrifice. He's chosen to play out the greatest story ever told on a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam.